Welcome to Canadian music in the 80s and 90s and more, and it's my pleasure to welcome back Bill Welychka. Thanks for joining me again, Bill. Good to see you.
Hey, Alan, this is my second time.
Well, third, I guess the first one we talked about Stompin' Tom.
Third time. Do I get a prize for that? Do I get a
Absolutely.
do I get a certificate to hang on the wall?
Actually, I was gonna send you a Chicago Blackhawks cap.
Oh, okay. That's even better. Yeah.
Um, yeah, the store I work in sells hockey hats. So I was gonna pick one up for you and send it out for it because I know you're a big Chicago fan. That's for you right there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You don't have to do that though. I have enough Chicago stuff, but it's never enough.
No. And didn't I tell you Connor Bedard would wind up in Chicago last time we spoke?
And they're giving him such a hard time. It's like, well, the
Yeah.
guy, it's his first year.
He's 18. What do you want?
He's 18. He went from playing with kids to men. He's doing great for the position he's in on the team
Yeah.
he's with. So yeah, nothing but big and better things for him and that team, hopefully.
Oh yeah, they're I think they're back in a good rebuilding mode, and I think they're gonna be right back where they were in 2 or 3 years for sure.
Absolutely.
And they've got some good veterans there too. Anyway, let's I could talk hockey all day, and I bet you could too.
Yeah, me too.
So you've been out and about. You got your new book out. Do you have it with you, or I ordered it, but I haven't got it yet.
Yeah, the
There
hardcover's
it
right here.
is.
Yeah.
There it is. I can't wait to get my copy. I'm really excited about it.
Thanks for
Um,
ordering it. I when I first put the idea for this, I've been asked about a book for years, and it would go in one ear and out the other, and then finally I just started writing during COVID, and not really with the intention of writing a book, but about halfway through 2020, I guess around 2021, I'm looking
mhm.
down, realizing this is a book. It's starting to take the form of a book. So I finished it all year, took a year to write, found a publisher. I wanted it out this year, 2023, because it would have been it marks the 35th year of my anniversary in broadcasting. And I knew the Much Music doc would be coming out in the fall. And so it's been out since August. It was a number one download in its first week. It's been an Amazon top 10. There's lots of Amazon charts and lists though.
Right.
But yeah, I'm blown away by it. And I've been traveling all over Ontario every weekend doing book signings at chapters and indigos, and always people there, always with beautiful comments. And yeah, life's busy, but I love it. I'm so grateful. Yeah.
I'm very happy that you got the book out finally because it's sounds like it was a bit of a labor of love for you to get going, and must have been fun going back and digging through all the your past and stuff like that and some of the
I
fun
had a
stuff
little
you've
bit of
done.
help when I moved to Kingston 11 years ago. The Kingston Whig Standard asked me to write a column. And
Okay.
again, I thought, I don't know if anyone's going to care. Sure, it was a monthly column that I thought would last 3 or 4 months, just talking about my life and career and stories.
Yeah.
And it went on for about 5 years. So I had all these columns, and I sort of used those as sort of a launch point for getting into some subjects and chapters. And so, yeah, it was, took about a year. Um, I, the first draft went to Amanda, my fiance, and I said, here, you can read it. She came back and said, this is really good, but there's 2 or 3 things in here that you should take out. My parents are going to read this, Bill. So I did some editing and took out some things. For the most part, though, yeah, it's there. And for anyone that wants it, it's out there. BillWelychka.ca, all the information on the retail stores and how you can order it. Yeah.
Excellent. I don't want to give away too much because I want people to go out and buy it because I think it's definitely going to be a well worth read. Is there anything in there that would surprise people?
Hmm. Hopefully a lot of it. Um,
Yeah.
I think I had a brother that was murdered. I had a
Oh,
stuttering problem. I've never talked about that before, all through school. It talks about that. I didn't want the book to be the ramblings of some old guy saying, "Hey, let me tell you about the time I interviewed David Bowie and Mick
Yeah,
Jagger and Madonna." That would have been easy. It's not that. There are stories in there about a lot of musicians,
yeah,
but it's also little things that I've learned over the years. The title is actually called "A Happy Has Been: Exciting Times and Lessons Learned." And interviewing big name marquee value stars for many many years, one of the things I realized is, as a culture, and I'm guilty of this, I love music, it saved my life, I'm a huge fan of a lot of acts, but we tend to put celebrities up on pedestals,
hmm,
where I realized a long time ago we should be putting each other on
right.
pedestals and elevating first responders, researchers, doctors, volunteers, people that work for nonprofits. To me, these are the people that we should be putting up on pedestals and looking up to. And it's just the way our culture has gone, with celebrity worship. So it talks a little bit about that. It talks a little bit about fame and how it's fleeting and
Yeah.
not necessarily the holy grail that everyone thinks it is. And yeah, so it's about the music business as well. There's lots of things going on in there.
Well, one question I have to ask you is something I've worked in television myself over the years, and I used to have this kind of worship of celebrity before I started working in the television industry, but the more I worked in it and met people that were kind of, somewhat celebrity status, I just realized these are just people doing a job.
Yep,
These are just people.
exactly.
These are people just like you and me. This is what they do. Um, the people that came into Much and got interviewed, they were there to promote something that they were doing, and it's a job to them. Like some make more money, obviously, some are, more well known and stuff like that, but they're just people doing a job just like you do every day.
And I'm not denouncing the idea that entertainment is frivolous. No, we need
Right.
entertainment. It's a distraction in our lives. It's something that I think that we need. And like I said, music has saved me. Music is way important in my life, man. And
Yeah.
um, a lot of the acts that I listened to growing up, I still listen to because I still get off on it. And just because you enjoyed something when you were 13 or 15 in terms of music, um, I don't think that goes away with age. It doesn't for me. So yeah, music does have its place. It is important, but for the most part, yeah, I think we should spend a lot of our energy putting people up on pedestals who, save lives, change lives.
Yeah. Like it's one thing to respect what people do in the music and movie industry, but it's also you should respect what other people do as well. Like get a
Yep.
try and go out there and just learn from life and get an understanding of what everybody else does in this world and get a respect for what everybody does, not just
Yep.
celebrity or anything like that.
It has been interesting doing the book signings and doing the Q&As with the 299 Queen Street West doc. I've done some dates on that tour. I'm not doing out west. I have a full-time job, so
Yeah,
time is of the premium, so I couldn't do the whole thing.
sure.
But meeting people after the doc, there's tears in some cases, just what
Mhm.
Much Music meant to them. And um, I heard more than once, and this freaks me out. I grew up watching you. That freaks me out. So I like to think I'm still young. Chronologically, maybe not, but in
Yeah.
terms of attitude and whatever, yeah. But how it that station touched a generation or two, across Canada, and its contributions to pop culture and the Canadian music biz. And it's been beautiful and humbling, and I'm grateful for the chance to have met all these amazing people the past couple of months.
And I guess it's really made you feel just how special it actually was.
I think you need 10, 15 years away from something for it to be reminded of how important it was. And you can look at that in the music, in the 80s, the 70s music sucked, but in the 90s, 70s was cool again. You need that separation away from
Right,
it. And we've been without much music now for, well, since I guess 2005 or so.
right.
And so it's time to look back fondly. And Sean Menard, the director, did an amazing job. I think he's worked on this documentary for 4 or 5 years. He's gone through hundreds of tapes. And what he has done now is Bell Media, who's now in charge of that video library, is going ahead and digitizing everything now.
Right,
No one knew how long videotapes would last in terms of the oxides, and it sits on a shelf
right.
and it breaks down within time. And so a lot of these old tapes had their last chance at being saved, and so he's doing that now. So for generations to come, they'll see an old David Bowie interview, or they'll see an old, Madonna interview, whatever. So good for him.
That's great that they're actually doing that because if you think about it, it is history. Like it
Hmm.
is really a snapshot of the time.
Well,
Um,
City TV in Toronto, Much Music was sort of born out of the New Music, which was a music magazine show,
right,
and so they were airing videos and doing interviews with like Iggy Pop, artists like that back in the late 70s, like way before MTV.
right.
So our music library predates pretty much most of the world's in terms of collecting music interviews. There's a few in the UK that have been around, I think, since the 60s. But yeah, it's a gold mine and a historical treasure, that library.
Would they, do you know if they'd have any of the old concerts they used to shoot? Like I know
Uh,
I've seen a couple of DVDs came out a few years ago of the Spoons at Ontario Place and Glass Tiger and
yeah,
Pursuit of Happiness. Would they have anything else like that? Like maybe some of the
I've
old snow jobs or
from when I was there, yeah, everything like that was saved. Now there were rumors back in when Bell took over that building, or was sold to Chum, Bell and Rogers, that a lot of older tapes were thrown out. I don't know
okay.
what was thrown out. I don't know what was saved or what was kept. But at the Toronto premiere, I was talking to someone who at the post-show party who was responsible for digitizing all these old tapes at the
Right.
party. And I'm like, "Ooh, there's a lot of things that I wish I had saved." She goes, "Oh, I'm seeing them. I'm seeing them every day, old
Yeah,
interviews and things." And so I gave her a wish list of old interviews that
right.
I wish I had saved. So hoping to see those down the road, and I'll put them up on my YouTube channel eventually.
Is there any, can you tell us specifically what it is you might be looking
Mm.
to see again that you don't have?
Oh my God, there's a long list of them. I think Madonna was one of them.
Oh,
Um, I had some things on VHS that were just really bad quality, like that
yeah.
Blue Rodeo tour I was on for a while. I asked for a copy of that master. There was a bunch of them. I can't remember now. I'll have to look at my texts, my phone. But yeah, I'm hoping sometime down the road I'll see a lot of this old stuff.
I'm hoping I remember, I think it was the summer of 96 or 97, might have even been 98. The Tragically Hip did a bunch of charity shows for Camp Trillium,
Mm,
and they brought, you guys did one of their shows, I think it was in London.
it might have been for the Phantom Power CD,
Yeah,
I
and
think.
it was
Yeah,
a charity show. All the money went to Camp Trillium, and I think you guys broadcast one of the,
I remember that.
they were all pop-up shows that happened like literally they, you had like literally a couple of hours to get tickets right after they announced them. But I remember you guys, I think it was in London, the London show you guys put on.
You're right. Good memory, man.
Yeah,
And that's one of the beautiful things about the hip is the amount of not just in Kingston, which they've given millions of dollars back to this
right.
area, but across Canada, nationally, internationally, the stuff they have done for charity, I think, goes unwritten for the most part, and they do it quietly.
Yeah,
They don't need to be patted on the back, but that's one of the beautiful things about the guys is they've always done that right from the early days when they were a bar band here in Kingston.
right.
By the way, the forward was written by Paul Langlois from the Hip.
Oh, excellent. I can't wait to read that. That's gonna be, I still can't wait to get, I wish I could have gotten it before our interview, but man, I can't wait to read it.
I appreciate that you made the effort. Thanks, man.
Oh, no worries. Getting back to the Hip, I know they still run the studio in Bath, don't they?
Yeah, it's theirs. It's you know, Paul just put out a solo record. He recorded
Hmm.
it there. So whenever the band has that musical itch, they head over to Bath. It's about 20 minutes just west of Kingston. Um, and yeah, so it's a full-on studio. You could sleep there.
Yeah.
They have the bedrooms upstairs. I think it's Canada's last, what are they calling it? Home studio where you rent and you sleep there. And it's this
Hmm.
huge Victorian house. And yeah, and they also rent it out. A lot of people have recorded there as well. But
Yeah, I saw your
it's
story
right
about
across the street from Lake Ontario.
the Pursuit of Happiness recording there. What was that all about?
They were just redoing some songs with the band and Chris Abbott and Mo Berg, and yeah, Chris Abbott lives here in Kingston, so it was
Okay.
easier for her to make, you know, to drive down Bath Road to Bath, and yeah, I met the band there, and they had a couple of days just in the studio re-recording some classics, more or less for social media. I don't think it's gonna come out
Right.
on any particular record, but they're managed by Jake Gold, who also now manages the Hip again. So
Okay.
yeah, a lot of social media, a lot of pictures and things like that there.
Um, what do you think of Mo Berg's newest project? I just downloaded that the other day.
At the Trans Canada
Canada
Highwaymen.
Highwaymen. What a project that is.
Yeah, they first brought that out, I think, about 4 or 5 years ago. And they
Yeah.
toured Canada with it. Um, so it's Stephen Page, Craig Northey from Odds, Mo Berg,
Chris
and
Murphy from
Chris
Sloan.
Murphy from Sloan. And yeah, they take turns doing songs and talking about them. It's like a songwriters in the round kind of thing. But I
Yeah.
think this presentation is a little different. And they've actually recorded stuff, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
downloaded I downloaded the newest the album they just put out, and it's all like Canadian classic covers and stuff like that. And you don't know how they would turn out, but every one of them turned out fantastic. Like everybody takes turns singing on certain
Yeah.
songs, and it was really well done. I think even Andy Kim said something about their cover of Rock Me Slowly. It's good. It's very good. I really wish they'd bring it out to the Maritimes, but
Well, I'm
um,
glad Mo Berg is doing stuff again. He had a severe case of stage fright that lasted a long time, which sort of brought the end of Pursuit of Happiness. And he became a college professor teaching music in Toronto. So nice to see that he's hitting the road again. He's got, I guess, Pursuit of Happiness and the Trans Canada Highwayman project going on, and Pursuit of Happiness doing dates periodically all the time. So yeah, good to see that he's outperforming again.
he's producing a lot too. I know because a friend of mine's band has actually put out 3 albums, and they're all produced by Mo.
Cool.
They're called the James Clark Institute.
Okay. One of the things I love about Mo is he's a huge Chicago Blackhawks fan.
Okay, I think
Got
I
the
remember that.
got the tomahawks on his ankles, on the back of his calf,
Oh, the
his
Gretzky
calves.
Rock song too. He mentioned that too.
Yes,
He
you're
mentioned
right.
actually I like the Hawks. Yeah.
Yeah, but man, oh man, Gretzky rocks. Yeah,
Yeah, I guess I forgot about that. And I think in the Eat My Brain video by the Odds, he was wearing a Blackhawks jersey.
you are good. Yeah,
Oh, that was one of my favorite videos back then. And Much played the hell out of it. I love that video.
and
Um,
the odds are in it too.
it was the Odds song, and then they had Pursuit of Happiness and Junkhouse were both in it.
Sorry, you're right. Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, so they have. It was like, yeah, they're all chasing each other or something. Yeah.
And then a few years ago, before I moved out here to the Maritimes, I saw the Odds at the Horseshoe, and they were doing Good Weird Feeling live, the whole album.
Okay.
And they had Mo come up and sing a song with them, and they had Tom Wilson came up and sang a song. I'm like, you guys gonna reenact the video? That would be awesome.
Of course, Craig Northey has the side project with the Hips Rob Baker Strippers Union.
That's right too. Man, he's got a
Yeah.
lot on the go. And I think he plays with
Stephen.
Stephen Page's solo band. So
Yeah,
man, they keep busy, but it's good to see that they're all still out there doing stuff.
absolutely. I love that. Just
And
because you get older doesn't mean, like I said earlier, that you stop doing what you love to do.
And that's what I'm noticing. That's what I've been hitting on the head a little bit lately with some of the content I've been doing is a lot of these bands that we remember are still making good music today. And that's kind of what I'd
Absolutely.
like to point out. Like, I don't know if you heard Barney Bentall's last album. It's
Mm-mm.
some of the best stuff he's ever done.
And
Like,
I wish radio would pay attention to that.
yeah, so do I. I wish
You
they
know,
would put it out there so more people could hear it. Because I mean, you
there's a
hear all
rock
the, yeah,
there's a rock station here in town that if I hear something to live for one more time, I'm gonna turn off the radio. But it's like, yeah, there's other Barney Bentall songs, guys. Come on.
yeah, exactly. That's the point. Like Blair Packham from the Jitters is writing better music today than he did when he was with the Jitters. Like, I just, I wish. I mean, there's ways to hear it, obviously, other than
Yeah.
hearing it on the
If you're a
radio.
fan, you'll know it and you'll find it.
But that's the thing I love. Like everyone says, "Oh, what happened to them? They were a one-hit wonder." No, they weren't. They're still doing music today. If you look, if you take the time to look, they're still doing great stuff today, and they're still performing. Like, and that's kind of what I'm trying to get to with some of these old artists that we all remember when we were younger. They're still at it today.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
and even the guys from the hip are still doing stuff. So, you know,
They're all very busy. Yeah.
yeah, they're all keeping
And
busy.
they're still rolling out reissues, and you'll still hear previously unreleased stuff with every reissue from that band, which excites me greatly. I'll be talking to Paul next week, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Is he doing some shows still for the album?
Oh yeah, yeah. They've been doing lots of Ontario shows, songwriting stuff, sessions, and yeah, all the guys have day jobs.
Yeah.
Um, but so it's been hard to like do like a cross Canada tour, but they are doing stuff with the Sky Diggers around
Hmm.
Ontario.
Sky Diggers were here last year, actually, in the Maritimes. They put on a show. Um, I know the one fellow, Dennis Ellsworth, who sings in the Tragically Hip cover band here in PEI, is a big Sky Diggers fan. Like he's, I, he just loves the Sky Diggers and the Hip for that matter. I mean, the band sells out every time they do a show around the Maritimes. They do
Nice.
such a good job of honoring the Hip's music, and it's great to see that here. It's the next best thing to seeing the Hip again. But um, do you think Paul will take that on the road? I hope he does. Like, I hope he takes it
The
out
Sky
here.
Diggers thing,
Yeah.
I'm hoping he will. We're approaching winter. I know Paul likes to shut down in the winter, but still another month, or maybe they'll pick it back up again in the spring,
Well,
hopefully.
tell him to come out here this summer if he can. Come out to the Maritimes because I'd love to see him here.
Yeah, I'll get that from him.
Yeah, if you could mention that to him. So getting back, how how were you approached about doing something for the 299 Queen West documentary? Did Sean get a hold of you or?
Yeah, he called me 2 years ago, I guess.
Mhm.
Like it was 2 years ago, told me about the documentary, that he had access to the library and he wanted to tell the story of Much Music and what it meant. And I thought enough time has passed that I think it'd be cool to talk about. And he told me who's involved. Erica is helping him sort of executive produce. He told me he had the blessings from Bell. He told me some of the other VJs that were interviewed, and I said, sure, love to. And I sort of forgot about it until he called me at the beginning of the year saying, yep, it's done. It's going to tour Canada and then end up on Crave. And he was telling me about this tour going across Canada for the screenings. And he asked me if I wanted to be part of the Q&A. And so I committed to three,
Okay.
the Toronto Premiere, Ottawa, and Hamilton just last weekend. And the people are loving it.
I know the Toronto one was quite successful. It was a real red carpet event by the looks of it, and you had who all showed up for? There was quite a cross section of VJs showed up for that.
Yeah, Denise Donlin, my boss, and she was an on-air presenter with Much to our boss David Kynes. Monica Diol came out for that. Of course, Erica, Michael Williams, Rick, Ed the Sock showed up and crashed the red carpet. A couple of other VJs, Jennifer Hollett and Hannah Sung. And in the audience were a lot of people. There was a little party after at Roy Thompson Hall,
Right.
and there was a little bit of a party after, and then it moved to another place for the post-show party. And someone says, "Oh, someone from Kingston is here, and they want to say hi to you." And so I went out, and someone from Kingston made the effort to go to Toronto to see the doc, and I was talking with them, and I looked up, and Greg Keeler from Blue Rodeo was walking by. He was in the audience, and I went, "Excuse me for a second, Greg, come here, please. Bill, how you doing?" Hugs. I go, "Can you get in here? There's a lot of people that would love to say hi to you."
Yeah.
And he went, "Oh, okay, sure." So I excused myself, and I took Greg into the after party, and everyone turned around. They're like, "Greg Keeler, what are you doing here? Oh my God." Everyone's eyes just went like this. So that was beautiful.
Oh, that's amazing. Because you guys supported them like crazy back in the day. Like I saw so much Blue Rodeo on Much, which was great. I never forget how much you guys supported Canadian music back then. It was just amazing. Um,
Yeah, it was special.
I actually did an interview with Mike Bullard because I really thought in the '90s he helped support a lot of Canadian bands on his show.
Yep, he
Like
did.
I think he had pretty much any band from Canada made that show. And he helped TV and film in Canada too, I think back then too. He didn't care how big or small you were. If you were making movies or television in Canada, he would have had you on your show, on his show. So between you guys and Mike, I thought it was they did a lot for Canadian music back then.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot. At the time, I guess there was CBC was doing some stuff.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess regionally as well, but you don't see it anymore. You really don't. It's sad. And
Yeah.
thank God for people like you and other podcasters and YouTubers who are getting the shit done, going out there and doing interviews again. Because
Oh,
people miss it. People miss it and people love it.
it's a pleasure to do it. Like, it's just so much fun to do. It's fun to be able to speak with guys like you who were there and saw it firsthand, and to bring back the memories is what makes me do it because I look back on it so fondly. Like, I got music education from from watching Much and listening to you guys talk. And I
Mm.
also the one thing I wanted to mention about Much back then is I used to like the way there wasn't a real set you guys sat on. It was just
Yeah,
kind of
it
like
was
wherever you could set up a light and plug in a camera. You guys were in the tape library, you were in the audio booth, you were,
out
you
on the
know,
street. Yeah.
yeah, sitting with the switcher, or you were in the freight elevator sometimes. I remember seeing freight elevator interviews sometimes. And I used to love the way you guys used to do that. There was no, you had to have a set with couches and
You have to credit Moses Neimer for that. And his whole thing was the open concept, his idea of a newsroom was the set. It wasn't a desk with two anchors and a backdrop behind them. He wanted to see the anchors on sitting on people's desks. He wanted to see the assignment desk. He wanted to see the edit bays in the background. And so what Much Music was an extension of that. He didn't want it to be called a studio. He wanted it to be called the environment.
yeah.
Because yeah, you can shoot anywhere. That freight elevator, yeah. I've done a couple of interviews in that freight elevator. One of them that comes to mind was Jason Bonham,
Oh,
John's
really?
son. And I was just in New York like 3 days before, and I bought The Song Remains the Same on Blu-ray.
Okay.
And I remember telling him, uh, oh my God, this is weird. I just bought your very first movie appearance in New York the other day. And he's like, what are you talking about? I go, there's shots of him in The Song Remains the Same as like a 4-year-old
Oh,
playing drums
that's right
alongside his
too.
dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
hilarious.
I see he's playing with Sammy Hagar right now in a band called The Circle.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah,
he's out there. He's still busy.
he's got Michael Anthony and Vic Johnson, and they're going around pretty much doing like Led Zeppelin, Van Halen, anything you'd want to hear classic rock wise out of those guys. Montrose, it's a
That'd be
great
a lot of
band. I think
that'd be a lot of
it's the
fun.
closest you're gonna get to Van Halen again, I think. But
Both Michael and Sammy. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, I still well, I don't want to get too political about it, but I think it's sad that they still haven't had a tribute concert for Eddie, but it just seems kind of sad that they haven't been able to pull that off. But
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know why. Is there still bad blood with the estate and Sammy and Michael? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't. I've heard blurbs come from Wolf Van Halen, which I don't know if you've heard his two albums. They're incredible.
No, I haven't.
He's got two albums out. He is he is really something. He plays all the instruments on them, and he's a really good singer and songwriter.
Wow.
Yeah, if it's some of the newer music I'm really enjoying right now. But those two albums he has out are incredible, and he's a good live performer too.
Who's in his band? Does he
Um,
tour it? He
he's
must tour it.
touring.
Yeah.
I think he toured with Guns N' Roses. He's been opening for Metallica. And I think he's touring with Slash's band over in Europe this year.
Oh, just talking with Todd Kearns the other day.
Oh, really?
Plays bass with Slash. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, Slash is going to do that after Guns N' Roses winds down, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
Todd was saying I think a huge South American thing has just come in
did you
for
get to
next
interview
year.
Guns? I think you interviewed Guns N' Roses once, didn't you?
I've interviewed Slash a bunch of times. I've interviewed Matt. I've interviewed Velvet Revolver,
Oh,
um,
okay.
the whole band when they first came out in LA with
Right.
Scott Weiland. Um, Slash when he was solo, but still with Gunners. But no, I never interviewed Axel.
Oh, okay. I didn't. I
Yeah,
wasn't sure. I remember. I think I saw him interviewed once, but I don't know who interviewed him.
no one in Canada.
One in
Um,
Canada.
maybe
Oh,
MTV.
I know what I
Yeah.
remember. They were interviewing Duff and Slash on their tour bus in Toronto, and Axel came riding up to their window on a bike.
Oh, that was Matt Sorum Duff. Yeah, that was with
Oh, was
Dan
it?
Gallagher.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Oh, he's a
came up
guy
on his.
I miss Dan.
Yeah,
Um, nobody talked about the game show that he had on much either. I
best
forgot that
pattern.
that was a great show.
What was the grand prize? Two slice toaster or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was that was a crazy show, but I don't know. And then Dan wound up being a VJ after that. So, but
Yeah, and then he eventually left and lost all this weight and then passed away
that's terrible. How old
after he
was
lost all that weight. Yeah, tragic. Very sad.
he? Was a talent. I thought he was a good on air much music VJ for sure.
Great sense of humor too.
Yeah, that's tough when you lose a guy at that young. He wasn't that old. I don't think. Um, yeah, it's terrible when you lose someone like that. Which I guess you guys are fortunate. You haven't really lost too many of your former much music people, have you?
That's the one that comes to mind. Some behind the scenes people over the years.
Yeah.
I just got an email promoting the book. I've probably done about 80 interviews for the book, and one of them was with Christopher Ward for his podcast.
Okay.
It was a while ago. Anyway, it's coming out this Saturday, so I'm looking forward to hearing that. He was one of my favorites. I love Christopher.
Yeah, I didn't realize, I knew he was a musician himself too.
Yeah,
Um,
before becoming a VJ and then leaving after Atlanta Miles, he co-wrote that record, and then Amanda Marshall after that, and then just became in demand as a songwriter.
and didn't Dan
Um,
write too?
Dan had one co-write with
I think it was Big
Andy
Sugar.
Curran.
I thought it was Big Sugar. I saw he co-wrote with.
With yeah, sorry, he might have been two, one with Andy Kern and one with Gordy Johnson.
Yeah, so I mean, he was a talented guy in both sides of the camera too. So
Yeah.
wow, man, I can't thank you enough for joining me again, Bill. That's awesome. It's great to talk to you.
Keep up the great work. I love what you're doing. And yeah, one of the important unsung heroes of promoting Canadian music. Way to go, Alan. Thank you.
I appreciate it. I hope it gets bigger. I don't care if it does. I'm just going to keep doing it anyway.
You remind me a lot of me. Love music, love hockey. What else do you need in life?
Yeah, I guess that's another thing too. Like the one thing I took away from the Much Music doc is how they did give chances to a lot of people who weren't perfect on-air people in interviews at first, like Rick was saying, but turned into good. They gave them the chance to develop.
Yeah.
And that's
Some of them didn't, but that's okay. But one of the things that the doc also touches on, and I love this, is what Denise Donlin introduced when she took over, and that is this drive for relevance. And
yeah,
that is introducing LGBTQ issues to young people and the importance of voting and the importance
Right.
of literacy and a lot of community social issues we dealt with, whereas MTV would, you know,
Wouldn't dream of it. Yeah.
when, here's a warrant video, you know,
Yeah.
here's cherry pie, enjoy. No, we
Yeah.
were, I think, had a little bit more bite to it than that, and I'm proud of that.
One thing I'll never forget, the variety of music you guys showed was beyond anything MTV ever did.
Oh yeah,
No, the fact you could watch a New Kids on the Block video followed up by, I don't know, the Spoons, you know?
yeah. And it all, I was speaking with Mike Williams about this in Hamilton, and I became a hip hop fan through Rap City and him, and falling in love with Public Enemy because of him. And I love country and I love rock and I love 80s stuff. Thanks to Much Music, I could add loving hip hop to that list as well. And that's what Much did.
And that's what you introduced us to all the country. Like, I think you helped make it popular here in Canada, and you did a lot to help Canadian country acts too, which I think is
It was a
commendable.
dream. It was a dream. We're all in this together, whether, I'm introducing something or being exposed to it just like
Right,
any other person. And that's what Much was great for. Yeah. And sadly, it'll never be replicated, no matter how much creativity or money someone wants to throw at an idea like that.
right. Well, we got the memories, and I'm happy to be able to chat with guys like you. To
Thank you, sir. And thanks for picking up the book. I do appreciate it. And I hope you enjoy it.
I will send you a message after I read it, and sing your praises once again. I'll probably do a review of it on my channel if you're all right with that.
Okay. Absolutely. Nothing negative, though.
Never, never. We're perfect people, Bill. Didn't you know that?
Yeah. I'm off to bed. I have my TV morning show I have to get up for.
All right. Thanks, Bill. Take care, man.
Oh, I appreciate it, Alan. Take care. Thank you so much, sir.
Bye bye.